Growing up, I had big dreams. Huge dreams. I was gonna be a world-famous singer. Everybody would know my name. I spent hours and hours on end singing the same song over and over again until my parents were practically pulling their hair out with exasperation. They tried to get me into loads of different hobbies: horse riding, painting, football, chess. Nothing worked. Singing was my passion. Years went by and my dream didn't fade. I ended up getting a scholarship to the Juilliard, graduated, and established a good career for myself. They won't admit it, but my parents are proud of me. There is one person, however, who I wish I could thank. I never met them in person, but imagine their name would be Thomas. Thomas was the man who lived in the apartment next to ours. Unlike all the other people in our building who would complain about my singing, Thomas would cheer through the walls, yell encore, and sometimes even join in. His favorite was "You Are My Sunshine." Thomas had a beautiful voice, like silk. He would sing along with me, with his operatic expertise, give me tips on how to improve. Thomas was my greatest teacher, my biggest inspiration. I tried to tell my parents about Thomas, brought them into the room when I practiced even, but Thomas never showed up on those days. They rolled their eyes and started talking about my imaginary friend, but I ignored it. I imagined that Thomas was never there when my parents were in the room because he was out performing somewhere. I imagined he had an amazing career. Years went by and I went off to university, graduated, and moved into my own apartment in NYC. I used to rent a practice room down in Manhattan, but the rent prices increased, and I decided to practice at home instead. Angry neighbors be damned. I settled into practicing and felt a sudden wave of nostalgia. I began to hum "You Are My Sunshine," and before I knew it, I was in full song, eyes closed, arms spread out either side of me. I stopped suddenly when I heard a voice joining in on the other side of the wall. Thomas's voice. I grew up on a housing estate in England. Now I'm in New York. This wasn't possible. As if that wasn't weird enough. During a Skype call, I asked my parents, only a few months prior, if they remembered my friend Thomas and how sad I was that I never got to meet him. My dad shifted awkwardly and told me something that they didn't want to mention to me at the time. Before I was born, an opera singer used to live next door to them. He committed suicide when his son was kidnapped and murdered, and his wife eventually left him. His name was Thomas. My parents didn't know how I knew this, but it scared them, so they did their best to ignore it. Stood in my apartment in NYC contemplating all of this, listening to Thomas's soft singing on the other side of the wall. I smiled gently and continued our song, tears running down my cheeks, feeling desperately sad for this man who had lost everything, yet given me everything. The song ended and there was silence. No clapping, no encore, just silence. I whispered a thank you to Thomas and collapsed onto my bed and fell into a deep sleep.